Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to a brand new mod spotlight. This time it's taking a look at Extra Utilities. Extra Utilities is a mod that's specifically designed for Forge, and it adds just a bunch of random utility type blocks to the game. So there's just it's not like a mod that has like a whole cohesive purpose of like it's exactly about this, right? It just adds a whole bunch of stuff that's just pretty neat to have. Everything from trading posts for villagers to chandeliers to something called an angel block, which is pretty awesome and one of my favorites. All kinds of just interesting and different nifty gadgets to take a look at. So there's a lot of things to show you guys, so without further ado, I'm going to jump right in and start showing you all the cool stuff that's added by Extra Utilities. So like I said, Extra Utilities is all about making things just a little bit niftier and a little bit cool. It's a mod that adds just some cool different stuff to it. One of the first things I want to show you guys is the angel block. Now this is a piece of obsidian, gold, and a couple feathers. What this block does actually helps quite a bit with something that I always have a trouble with. If you guys have ever tried to build something way high up in the sky, you might know that it's hard to, get the cornerstone, if you will, the main block that's going to start you off. Well, the cool thing about the angel block is it can be placed anywhere simply by right-clicking, like so. You don't have to attach it to another block. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this is awesome in my opinion. I've often had to, build something that's maybe in a void age and a Mystcraft age. I've had to build some things that are like up in the sky, or just there's no blocks nearby, right? So I usually have to build up a big pillar of cobblestone. That's frustrating. Sometimes I'll send a turtle up here to place a block for me just so I can get started. One way or another, it's just frustrating to have to start building where there's no other blocks nearby. And that's where the angel block comes into play. You can go ahead and place it wherever you want, and it's going to go ahead and get placed for you there like so. Simply right click and it'll go even if there's no other blocks nearby. Pretty awesome, right? It seems to place it right about your head level, so that's where it's going to land, and it doesn't have to be attached to anything. Nice, right? So that's kind of a good indication of what this mod's about. Just little utility blocks that are very, very useful. And finally, if you want, you can left click the block and it'll break instantly. So you'll note that it's instantly going into your inventory, even though it's kind of, far away. It doesn't actually break and fall as a block. It just goes directly into your inventory. So even if you are flying around, you don't want it to fall on the ground, no big deal. Easy to break, even in flight mode, which usually, blocks are harder to break because they take longer to break while flying because it uses the same mechanic as swimming a bit. So that is what we're talking about. Pretty cool. Next up, we've got this nifty gadget right here, the blackout curtains. What this does, it's a block that's specifically designed to help knock out some light coming in. So typically, if you're inside a dark area and you want to keep it as dark as possible, you'd have to cover it up with solid kind of blocks, and those obviously you can't get through, right? And if you want to get out, you have to drill your way out every time. It's kind of frustrating. However, if you use blackout curtains, these guys will cut down the amount of light entering by about half, and they do kind of stack with each other a bit, so you can put a couple layers of blackout curtains in there and you'll be in good shape. Just make sure that they're connected to some kind of block so that it looks a little bit better. There you go, look at that. So with 2 layers of blackout curtains, you're in good shape and you can walk right through them. That's neat. So no problem getting in and out of this dark room, and it's completely dark. As you might know, if you do use a door instead of a blackout curtain, it's going to let in a decent amount of light here. So see how all the light's getting in through the door? So doors do not block out light. You have to right click to open them. Frustrating. Blackout curtains block out the light and can be walked right through. And of course, if you want to, you don't have to just make it a 2x2 structure. You can, of course, make it 3x3. No big deal. Pretty neat looking, right? So next up, we've got a pretty useful block. Many people know what a block update detector or bud switch is. This is basically a bud switch in a block. It's basically a switch that whenever a nearby block updates, and this includes like the growing of plants and other things that kind of can happen automatically in the world, it triggers a block update. And what this block will do is it'll wait for that block update to occur and emit a redstone signal when it does. So if we get ourselves a little bit of redstone here, we should be able to see this happening whenever this grows. You can see it's kind of growing right there like that. So the reason it was ticking there is because it detected a block update nearby. Placing redstone causes a block update. Actually, also, growing plants does. So by me manually growing the plant, it's not actually causing it, but when I broke it, you saw it occur. So anytime something occurs nearby that causes a block update, it will emit a quick redstone pulse. Nice. Now, speaking of dark areas, you might not want to keep them dark, but instead light them up. For that, we've got the chandelier. Requires a diamond and a little bit of gold, and quite a few torches, but this guy's pretty nice. You can see in here that first off, it can be placed on the ceiling, unlike normal torches. So that's pretty awesome. The other good thing about this is it will prevent any enemies from spawning within 16 blocks of the chandelier where it's placed, regardless of whether there's a clear line of sight to the chandelier. So if there was another room on the other side of this wall, no mobs could spawn in there, even though there's a wall between the chandelier and that room. Pretty neat. It gives off slightly more light than glowstone and torches do, and just looks pretty cool. Alright guys, next up is an interesting decorative block type. There's several types of bricks and wood that are available and can be colored to all kinds of different colors. And you'll see right here it's real simple. It's simply take any kind of brick, put the color dye in the center, and take a paintbrush, which is just a couple pieces of stick and a string, and you'll get that interesting and nifty looking block color. But it doesn't end there. So you can see first off, getting the bricks, easy to do. Same with the wood. Just surround wood by a dye color and paint it a little bit. No big deal, right? Cool. So far, so good. However, you can also go into that area. Now, this works chunk wide, okay? So I'm going to show you what that means in a minute. If you right-click any one of these blocks with any color at all, you can change the color of those blocks to something that matches that color a little bit. So you can see right now I'm applying some red to this thing. Nice, right? Now, if I want to add some green to it, not a problem. That's cool. So we can change the color of those blocks, and you can do the same thing with the wood. So if we go ahead and add some green to this wood here, it goes from orange to green, and we can add some blue if we want, change it up like that. Pretty nifty looking, right? Now you'll also note the items in my hotbar here are changing. So the orange wood planks that I had are now blue, and the white colored bricks are now green. However, this only functions chunk wide. So I'm going to show you guys the chunk boundaries here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and place out these blocks like so. Note what happens when I go over into this chunk. They're back to white again in my hotbar as well. So basically what happens is when you change the color of these bricks, they change chunk wide. Okay, so within this chunk now, all these bricks are the same blue color that they were over there. So this makes it really easy for you guys to go ahead and make some specific color changes in like a big area and make things look really cool. And of course you get 16 different pieces of wood and brick, so you can really fine-tune which colors are together and how things work. It's pretty nice. If you want to clear the color and reset it back to its initial state, just click on it with a water bottle from Vanilla, and you'll see there that it updates and is good to go. But this chunk is of course separate, so if we want to change the color over here, we do this as well right in here. Nice, right? Now if you want to copy a color, you simply take one of those paintbrushes, shift right click, and you'll see that the color of the paintbrush has changed. Now I can go over here and apply it like so. Nice, right? Really pretty neat. So have fun playing with these blocks, because it definitely makes it pretty cool to have some really custom colors and definitions. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I tend to have a lot of cobblestone. That's because I'm running quarries, I'm running mining well machines, I'm running all kinds of stuff, and I'm getting all this cobblestone, and typically I'm just destroying it or throwing it in a recycler, but sometimes we want to keep a good amount of it, but it just takes up so much space in your inventory. That's why Extra Utilities goes ahead and adds compressed cobblestone. Boom. 9 cobblestone turns into 1 compressed cobblestone, and 9 compressed cobblestone turns into 1 double compressed cobblestone. And you can get triple compressed, quadruple compressed, quintuple, septuple, and octuple, to the point where octuple compressed cobblestone is storing 43 million cobblestone. So if you have a lot of cobble, you might want to compress it down into this crazy, ridiculous stuff. The next block we have is called the conveyor belt, and it's really simple. It just pushes items and entities along. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a nice long conveyor belt block. The cool thing about this is it actually also tries to keep the items and blocks centered. So you can see I'm kind of throwing the cobblestone on the corner edge there, and it's pushing it back into the center of the conveyor belt and keeping it nice and centered. Like I said, this works with both entities and with items. So let's go ahead and grab ourselves Zombie Pigman, for example. We'll spawn him right up here, and you'll see him getting pushed along on the conveyor belt. Neat, right? So that guy works pretty well. And the conveyor belt is pretty straightforward. It will go ahead and just move in the direction that the tracks are. So if you set it up properly, you can have items flowing one direction or the other. So I'm going to go ahead and add some conveyor belts off in this direction here, and we'll see how this works. So once it gets down here, it should get centered on this one and move in this direction. So if you want, you could set up a little loop like I did over here and just drop a few items in, and they'll kind of go around the loop. Nice. A bunch of, utilities and different ways you can handle this. Just make sure everything is facing the right direction here. If you face it the wrong way, it won't work like I just did. There we go. And if there's any question as to what direction it is sending items, just look on the side of the block here. You'll see arrows pointing in the right direction. So you can see here, this one here is pointing the wrong way. So a pretty nifty way to transport items. You can also push yourself along it, and if you hold shift while you're standing on the conveyor belt, you won't get pushed by it. So let go, shift to move, hold shift to stop. Next up, we've got a very interesting material here called... Now you can see I've made it nighttime because we've got a very interesting material I want to show you. It's called Cursed Earth. Now Cursed Earth is not craftable. So if we take a look at the crafting recipe here, you see you can't craft it. There is a way to obtain it, but it's meant to be a little bit of a secret. If you want to go look at the spoiler on the forum thread, you can go check it out yourself. But I'm going to show you what Cursed Earth does. I've just placed some of it out. Now it only works at night or when it's, pretty dark out. So let's give this thing a few seconds here. Uh-oh. Not only is it spawning enemies on me, dangerous, it's also spreading to nearby blocks, so you can see that occurring. Oh boy. So Cursed Earth is a nasty little bit of stuff. It will spawn enemies nearby. Even if a player is not nearby, it'll still spawn them. So players don't have to be nearby for these, the Cursed Earth to spawn random enemies. However, if it does get hit by something like sunlight, it'll start to disintegrate and burn up. So you can see the Cursed Earth as soon as the sun came out, starting to burn up, and it's going to disappear on us. And if we kill this fire, you'll see that it's actually getting rid of the Cursed Earth. So it only works at night. So if you want to create some kind of interesting mob spawner effect with it, definitely a neat approach and something you could do. It's pretty cool stuff. Do note also that standing on the Cursed Earth will cause a little bit of damage. Aside from the fact that even there's fire that's starting on it, it will hurt to stand on it. Next up is a pretty interesting block that's going to be very useful for server owners. It's called the Endothermic Pump. It's a pretty expensive recipe. It requires a diamond, an Eye of Ender, lava and mortar bucket, some obsidian, and an iron pickaxe. Okay, what this item does is it acts just like a Buildcraft pump. Okay, well, not just alike, but pretty similar to. It requires either Buildcraft or thermal expansion or some kind of mod along those lines that can, handle this. But basically what it does is it allows you to do what's called a lag-free liquid pump, specifically designed for lava. Now, what happens in the Nether is that a lot of times as you're pumping out a ton of lava from the Nether, it leaves behind a lot of those source blocks, right? Or non-source blocks. The flowing lava blocks get left behind. That can cause a bit of lag for both server owners and for clients because it causes a lot of frame rate, degradation. It's a lot of ticks on the server dealing with all this flowing lava all over the place. So what this block does is, number one, you have to place it right above the level of lava that you want, but you don't have to have a clear block under it. It can work while sitting on top of a block like so. And it basically works just like a pump. So I can go ahead and run some piping to it like so, and give it some redstone energy, and it should start pumping. Now the cool thing about this is you'll note that it's automatically replacing it with smooth stone. So all the lava that it's pumping out is instantly being replaced with smooth stone. There is no block updates occurring here. It's very low lag in this case, and you can see the lava filling up inside the lava tank. So it's basically a pump that replaces all the lava that it picks up with stone. Awesome. Now, by default, this guy's only going to work in the Nether, but there is a config option to allow it to work in other areas. So if you want to allow it to work in the overworld and Mystcraft dimensions, you can change that in the config, but by default, it only works in the Nether because it's pretty much designed specifically to, suck up lava and, cause a less lag in the Nether. Pretty nifty, right? The other neat effect of this block is that it chunk loads all the areas that it needs to. So it'll automatically chunk load within the range of blocks that it can pull from. It won't chunk load any more, and it won't chunk load any less. So you don't have to worry about chunk loaders, and you don't have to worry about causing a lot of lag. Server owners will definitely love this block. So you guys may remember the chandelier from earlier, which prevented mobs from spawning in a 16-block radius. Well, what happens if you take 5 chandeliers, combine them with some wood, and a potion of healing and potion of regeneration? If you do that, you get yourself a magnum torch. These blocks are pretty awesome. So they don't create a ton of light. If we go ahead and switch it to nighttime, we'll see that it only creates about the normal amount of light of a torch. However, this will prevent mobs from spawning within a 64-block radius. So 64 blocks in all directions, mobs cannot spawn. Nice. So if you don't want to have just fields and fields of torches all over the place, I personally hate that. Like, I know it's kind of necessary and a lot of people have it, but when you run around and you just see torches all over the place just to prevent mobs from spawning, it kind of makes the ground look cluttered and ugly. So the Magnum Torch here, while expensive, prevents mobs from spawning. So keep in mind, you need 5 diamonds, 10 pieces of gold here. It's a pretty expensive item, along with a couple of different potions that are pretty expensive. But 64 block radius of no mob spawning, I like it. Now keep in mind, this won't affect custom mob spawning, such as dungeon spawners or Cursed Earth, or the Mine Factory Reloaded spawner. So any custom mob spawning, or things that force mobs to spawn, will not be affected by the Magnum Torch. However, it won't allow any mobs to spawn naturally. Next up is a pretty interesting block. It's a little bit different. It's not something that you'd probably see me using too much, but there's a lot of people out there that I think would get a lot of mileage out of this block. It's called the Peaceful Table. Dun dun dun. Requires some emeralds and a diamond, so it's not a cheap block, but it is pretty cool. It's designed for people who play on the peaceful difficulty, but still want access to mob drops. So basically the way it works is you place this peaceful table next to a chest, okay, and you place a sword in it. Cool. Now what's going to happen is over time, it's going to periodically spawn an entity, any mob that could have spawned in the area. So I'm going to go ahead and make it nighttime. I don't know if it needs to be night for this to work, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. And what we'll find is that the sword in the inventory is going to start taking damage. What's going to happen is the table is going to periodically spawn a random mob, kill it using the sword, and then collect the drops that it would get. Nice. So I'm putting my difficulty to peaceful here, and we're going to see if this works. I'm going to give it a few minutes. Alright guys, so we've just had our first kill. I found a spider spawn nearby, and you'll see that the sword took some damage, and we got string and spider eyes. Perfect. You can see that we are still on the peaceful difficulty, so this is working as designed. Now note that the sword took a little bit of damage. Obviously, basically what happens is it acts just like the player is holding it. So if you have a stronger sword in here, then you're going to have longer duration. It basically uses the number of hits it would normally take to kill a mob. So, spiders take a few less hits to kill than zombies or something along those lines. Oh, there was a creeper. We just saw it happen, right? So the creeper spawned and was instantly killed by the sword, and we collected the gunpowder. It's a pretty slow process, so it's not something that you're going to be able to use to, create, tons and tons of mob drops. But it's a very nice table for those of you who play on peaceful mode and just don't have access to those items that only drop from mobs. Not bad, right? The other thing is that this sword does take into account enchantments. So if you have Unbreaking, or if you have looting or something along those lines, you will find yourself getting more mob drops as a result of the looting enchant. Next up is a very simple block. It's called the redstone clock. And all it does is emit a redstone pulse once every 1 second. So all you gotta do is hook up some redstone here, and you'll see every 1 second it ticks, okay? Every 1 second, it'll emit a redstone pulse. Perfect for clocks and anything else that you'd like for some really good timekeeping. Alright guys, I was all ready to show you the next block, but somebody left all these annoying sheep and cows here. I don't know where these guys came from, but they're just really loud and obnoxious. Oh well, perfect segue into the block I wanted to show you anyway, which is the sound muffler. Simply place this block down, and any sounds within an 8-block radius of the block are going to be lowered by 90%. Peace and quiet. You can still hear them a little bit because, like I said, it lowers it by 90%, not 100%. But it will definitely mute out some of those annoying animal sounds, especially if you have a bunch of cows right next to your house because, hey, you have a cow farm, you want to be able to feed yourself. But, boy, those guys make a lot of noise. Perfect block for this purpose. Like I said, 8-block radius lowers down all the sounds by about 90%. Gee, I wish they had something for the rain because now it's raining, and boy, is that loud. Oh wait, there is something for the rain. That's right. We've got the rain muffler. This guy, sound mufflers, 8 of them, surrounded by a water bucket, will reduce all rain sounds in about a 64-block radius for 100%, I want to say. Peace and quiet. So no more rain sounds, no more animal sounds if they bother you. I personally hate to have rain sounds in my recordings, so you know what? I'm pretty excited by this block. Both of these blocks are actually pretty useful for me because I don't like how loud these things are sometimes. Nice. Next up, we've got an interesting type of block. It's called the spikes. These guys, which do require quite a bit of material, a lot of iron as a matter of fact. You need a block of iron, 3 iron ingots, and 3 iron swords. Tons of iron required, but you place down the spikes and anything that's unfortunate enough to walk on it is going to take a good amount of damage. Oh wow, that hurt. Alright, let's get ourselves some spider eggs and see what happens, okay? Here goes nothing. Oh boy. I'm on peaceful mode still. Oh yeah, he's taking some good damage. Get on there, spider. So good amount of damage applied to enemies, perfect for mob drops, and it will cause the items to drop from the entity. It also includes rare drops, so if you have like wither skeletons, they will drop their wither skulls. Do note that they will not drop experience, so you're only getting the items, not the experience from the mob. Pretty cool. Gee, it looks like somebody replaced all the mobs in my little pen over here with villagers instead. I wonder why they did that. Probably because they wanted to show off the trading post. This is a pretty nifty block. Okay, take a look at this. We've got a block of emerald and a jukebox and some wood. And what this is going to allow you to do is you place this guy right down next to any villagers. Okay, what you're going to be able to do is right-click on this block, and you'll have access to all the villagers' tradings. Okay, so we can see here we've got this guy. He's trading 5 amber for an emerald. Ah, look at that. Here it is, 5 amber for an emerald. And when you click on that, it's going to bring up his villager trading immediately. This guy right over here is trading an emerald for some walnut wood planks. There it is, walnut wood planks. And you can bring it right up. So you have access to all your villagers through one block. That is pretty awesome. I can turn silver nuggets into arrows. I can turn an emerald into a page. Wow, that looks pretty cool. I like this block, especially for all the villager systems I've been coming up with recently. This would be a really, really convenient way to handle all the villager trading I might want to do. So if you're looking for you know, some really good deals, or you kind of like me are frustrated, especially when you have a larger village and you want to run around. Now, if you have more than what is it here? I guess 20 pages, you can go ahead and click the arrows on the top to turn pages and flip through as you have more and more villagers getting added to your system. Like, let's demonstrate that right here. Here we go, tons and tons of villagers. Let's see what kind of trades we've got available now. A lot of kids came out of that one, so no big deal, but you get the point, right? Pretty cool. I love it. So it's a really nice way to access all the different villager trades in one central location. Alright guys, next up I want to show you the transfer system. The transfer node system is basically another way of transferring items from one inventory to another, and it's a pretty nifty system if I do say so myself. First off, you're going to need to get yourself a transfer node. Now these systems are basically based on vanilla hopper mechanics, so you're going to use vanilla hoppers for a lot of these. You're going to need an ender pearl to get some transfer nodes, and you're going to get some transfer pipes that are required. Transfer pipes are not hard to make. Some stone slabs and some redstone and some glass will get you half a stack of transfer pipes. So pipes are pretty cheap, but the nodes themselves are where the expense comes in. Okay, basically the way this works is you place a transfer node on an inventory, like so. Now that transfer node is going to start, number one, pulling items out of the inventory. So if I place, you know, some cobblestone in that inventory, it's going to go ahead and store it in its internal buffer. There's only one internal buffer slot. It's also going to search for inventories that are connected to place these items into. So if I connect the transfer pipe like so, yoink. Actually, I want to send it this way. Note that now it's searching at Z plus 1 and 0. So now it's alternating between the current slot that it's at and one further away. Okay, if we extend this again once more, it'll start searching at Z plus 1, plus 2, and 0. So it's kind of a little bit of a screen here showing you where it's searching, trying to find a spot to put this cobblestone. Now, if I attach the transfer pipe to the top of the furnace like so, it's going to eventually find at Z plus 3 a spot to place the cobblestone. Ta-da! It placed it inside the furnace. Nice. Pretty simple, right? So that's the basic gist of how it works. Now there's a little bit more in depth that we can get. First off, it's going to try and find the nearest inventory it can fit items into. However, if it struggles to find an inventory, so let's say that I want to place chests somewhere. Now obviously they can't fit in the furnace anymore. So these chests are going to sit here and they're just, you know, looking around. They're following along those pipes. So once it gets to Z plus 3, it's going to start searching at X minus 1 and 2, and it's going to find a spot to place the chests. Now, it just might so happen that we don't want to place these chests, you know, right here. So let's actually do something like this. I'm going to place another chest on either side here. Okay. Now, what's going to happen is by default, it's going to try and find a way to one of these chests. Let's see which one it finds its way to. Oh, it's carrying along the Z plus 6 line, and it probably threw it in this one. Ah, correct. Well, maybe we didn't want that to happen. Just take a vanilla stick and right-click. Okay, note that it adds some, you know, breaker lines here. This is closing off these pipes. So think of this almost like an iron pipe from Buildcraft. It's preventing items from going in either one of those directions. If we click again, it's going to allow items down this path, but not down the other two. If we click it one more time, it's going to allow items down this path, but not that way or that way. So let's go ahead and put another half a stack of chests in here again. Okay, what we should wind up happening is that it's not going to continue down the Z path. It's going to ignore that path because it knows items are not allowed to travel that way. And it's going to wind up throwing the chests right in here. Nice. So not too shabby. Okay. Now another option you can have with your stick options here is one more click. I'll demonstrate for you that the pipe turns white. What that means is it won't connect to any adjacent inventories at all. So this way we can pass right over the furnace, no option for items to go into the furnace, and they will go into one of these directions here. So you can see here now items will probably wind up in either one of the chests because we're no longer using it as an iron pipe functionality, but more like a sandstone pipe where it doesn't connect to blocks, but only to other pipes. So there we go. The cobblestone landed in here. Neat. Now there's some other cool stuff you can do with this. Let's go ahead and demonstrate that now. Another type of pipe you can get is called the sorting pipe, and I'm placing this on top of 4 different chests. The reason I'm doing that is the sorting pipe will only allow items inside of a chest if they already exist in there, or if the chest is empty. So I'm going to place like some furnaces in here, I've placed some sticks and some water capsules in here, and I'll put some cobblestone in this one. Okay, so let's put a bunch of stuff in here. First off, we need to connect this with transfer pipes. Okay, so let's do that now. Cool. So I'm just going to put, a couple furnaces, a couple sticks, a couple pieces of dirt, cobblestone, and water capsules. Okay, you can see it's searching for a spot to put all these items, and it's going to eventually find it. So down here you can see the furnaces landed in this chest. It did not land in here. Okay, cobblestone and dirt were my other options. This chest was empty, so it placed the dirt in here first because it was the only chest that was empty. None of these chests had dirt in it. Okay, the cobblestone and the sticks the sticks and the water capsules will land in here, and we'll see the cobblestone landed in here. Nice, right? So basically the sorting pipe acts to say if the item already exists in this inventory or if the inventory is empty, it's allowed to go in here. Nice. So it's a really cheap and easy way to set up a sorting system. So if you fill a chest with a bunch of different kinds of iron ingots and gold ingots and all kinds of different ingots, then ingots will always get sorted into that chest, and you'll have kind of like an overflow chest here. Pretty nice system. I could definitely use this, I think, in a couple different places. Next up, we've got the filter pipe. Filter pipe is a transfer pipe with all different colors surrounding it. It's basically your diamond pipe from Buildcraft. Hate to, during a mod spotlight, represent another mod, but it's probably the best way to explain it to you guys. It's a filtering pipe that allows you to filter items in different color directions. So you can see here we've got the blue, the red, the green, the yellow. The black and white direction are up and down, of course, so there's the white one, as you can see. And you can go ahead and filter items. So I can say, hey, any furnaces? Go ahead and head down the green path. And everything else can go down the yellow path. So we'll let that happen. So if we go ahead and place furnaces in here, okay, or watering cans, for example, the furnaces should hit this pipe and land in this chest right here. So you can see the transfer node. It was finding an available spot. It placed the furnace in here. Even though the furnaces could have landed over here, they didn't because the filtering pipe said, hey, nope, you go down the green path, and other things are allowed here. So the, the watering capsule landed here instead of here. Now there are a couple upgrades you can apply to these things. First off, the item filter, a bit of redstone, sticks, and string. This guy's going to be pretty useful, specifically with the filter pipe right here. If we take a look at it, you can see you can fill up an item filter, multiple items like so. And this way you can go ahead and place the item filter inside of one of these pipes. So I'm going to place this item filter, which on the tooltip tells me furnaces, cobblestone, and water capsules are what's going to go down the green path. So now I can go ahead and put furnaces, cobblestone, and water capsules in here, and those will all make their way down the green path into this chest. So you can see the furnace got here, and you can see eventually it's going to send the cobblestone and the water capsule as well. One of the other things you might notice is that this is not the fastest of systems. It is, because it's so cheap to make, a little bit slow, but if you want to speed it up, go ahead and get the transfer node upgrade of speed. It gives you gold nuggets, gold, and a bunch of redstone required to make one of these guys. But when you go ahead and apply this upgrade, simply right click and it's going to use it, and it's going to double the speed of the transfer node. And you can double this all the way up to about 20%, and eventually it will stop allowing you to apply the transfer node. So you can see here I can't apply any more upgrades, okay? But now when I place furnaces in there, look how much faster it pulls items out. Nice, right? And it's going to go ahead and find those transfer nodes a lot faster. So go ahead and apply those upgrades and it'll pull things much quicker for you. And look at that, all the furnaces made it their way over there very quickly. Now you may have noticed tanks in my inventory and a couple other nodes I haven't shown you. One is the transfer node of liquid. Guess what that does? You probably guessed that it sends liquids into the transfer node. So you use the same transfer pipes, but you go ahead and hook them up to a liquid node. So it's the node that determines what's getting pulled out, be it liquid or items. And there's also, of course, an energy node. So I'm going to go ahead and use some of those water capsules that I had in my inventory here to demonstrate for you and show the fact that the water is being held in here. And just like with items, it's searching along the pipes that are connected to it for an available slot to place the water into. So the water is getting transferred into this tank on my right. Pretty cool, right? Now, of course, you also have the option to transfer energy. And I want to show you the fact that, note that it's the node that determines what's getting pulled out of an inventory or placing and put into the pipes. It's not anything else. So there's no different pipes for transferring energy, water, or items. What does this mean? Well, I just so happen to have an item right here, a block that accepts energy to run. It has a liquid tank and it has an item tank. So I wonder if I took an item transfer node, a water transfer node, and an energy transfer node. So I'm going to put the water transfer node here. I'm going to put the energy transfer node here, and note the energy transfer node is telling you how much energy it's storing, and it's searching for inventories to put that energy in. And then finally, I'm going to get my item transfer node and put it right here. And inside my cyclic assembler here from Thermal Expansion, I've got a schematic that says 8 cobblestone creates 1 furnace. Okay, sounds cool so far, right? Let's go ahead and get ourselves a bit more cobblestone. I'm going to place it in this chest. And then using one pipe to connect to the input slot of this guy. What's going to happen? Well, if we give it a few seconds here, you'll see the items landed in here. The water started filling up in here. And we're going to start getting energy. Look at that. And it started crafting the furnaces for us. Wow, that's pretty cool. So by using this system, you can basically connect items, liquids, and energies, send all the info, like all the stuff, straight through one node, connecting to one side of the block. With the amount of things we need to connect to the block faces these days, this might really help you guys out to limit the amount of things. So you can imagine that you've got like a carpenter from forestry. You have to send items, liquids, and energy into that block as well, and that would really make this a lot cooler. I love it. Alright guys, I've shown you about half this mod, and we've just hit the 30-minute wrapping up point for a Mod Spotlight episode, so unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut this Mod Spotlight off right here. This will be part 1 of the Extra Utilities Mod Spotlight, showing you pretty much all the blocks that are available in the mod. Now, there's quite a few other things to show you in terms of items, so that's how I'm splitting up the Spotlight. Blocks in one, items in another. So we've got more of Extra Utilities to see, and you'll see them in part 2 of the Spotlight. For now, this is Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you enjoyed checking out this mod. It's pretty awesome. It's got a bunch of different tools for all kinds of different purposes. Everything from conveyor belts to things that damage enemies to things that make sounds quieter. Just a bunch of cool stuff. The liquid pump that you saw is really nice for servers, helps to reduce lag, and it seems like a lot of what this mod is about is trying to do things in as clean a way as possible to hopefully reduce some of the lag that servers are experiencing sometimes when there's a lot of different mods installed. Alright, so definitely worth checking this out. It's currently available for Minecraft version 1.5. I didn't really plan on doing any 1.5 spotlights yet, but basically I wanted to show you guys this mod because it's really cool and worth checking out. It will be available for 1.6 eventually, it's just not there yet. There's a lot of changes that happen in 1.6 as we know, so we're going to wait a little bit. This will be included in the 1.5 version of the Direwolf20 FTB pack, so you will see this in the FTB pack version 1.5. It's a pretty cool mod. Alright guys, this is Direwolf20 signing off. Stay tuned for part 2, and take it easy!